opening tip-off, and they'll move it from right to left. St. Mary's in the home whites, Utah State in the dark blue tops and shorts. It's run by Falslev. Martinez wants a quick three. It brushes the net, and Jordan Ross has it for the Gales.
Utah State starts in the zone, Brian.
Notable after St. Mary's saw that a lot against Merrimack and struggled with it in the first half. Started to find some success in the second half, but still not enough to be able to pull away from Merrimack. The final 73-68, and it was tied a bunch down the stretch as Ross is swatted underneath the basket. Some contact, and it looks like he'll be going to the line after the foul on Johnson.
Yeah, against the Warriors, Brian, you remember St. Mary's had a lot of trouble against the zone in the first half. And then second half, they got the ball to Paulius Morauskas along the foul line extended, and he was able to either score from there or made some nice passes inside to Mitchell Saxon, and that's how the Gales really kind of exploited a defense that had given them fits in the first half.
That high-low game that worked at times in the first half, and then it seemed like St. Mary's almost got away from that a little bit in the second half as Jordan Ross misses the first free throw. Ross has struggled this season at the free throw line. He's just a 60% shooter now, 24 out of 40 after that miss. And his second one is good. So the Gales' first point of the night and a 1-0 lead. Utah State, a team that we heard from Randy Bennett before the game, they love to shoot the three. And if they're hitting threes, that means their offense is rolling. And the thing with Utah State is their offense rolls quite a bit. It's a very dynamic offense and one of the better offenses in the country. As Gadaretse closes in on the glass and finishes over Mitchell Saxon.
Gadaretse looked like he was about to lose control of the ball, but was able to maintain control and got the shot off the glass over Saxon and given the Aggies a 1-point lead.
It's a top 20 offense in the NCAA. The ball goes out, and it will go to Utah State. 86.3 points per game for Utah State this season. And their defense has been pretty good as well, just 65.5 points allowed per contest. Add that up, and it's the 13th best scoring margin in the NCAA. Just shy of 21 points per game. Tip in, no good by Gadaretse. Barrett fights for the loose ball on the floor. Now he's just going to cover it up. A jump ball is the call. St. Mary's will get possession, but it will flip the arrow back the other way.
Yeah, Brian, both these teams, really good rebounding teams. St. Mary's came in today with a plus 10.8 margin per game, 11th best in the country. Utah State plus 8.5, 21st in the country.
And both very good on the offensive glass. They're top 20 teams offensively. St. Mary's is number 11 in the country in offensive rebounds per game, 15.1. And Utah State, 18th in the country at 14.5. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch here tonight. Who's better on the offensive glass? Who's able to take advantage of second chance possessions? And, of course, can St. Mary's break this Utah State zone? Very rare that you'll see it in back-to-back games. I can't recall in all the years I've covered St. Mary's that I've seen a team play zone against them in back-to-back games. As Barrett stumbles, he was fouled. It's the second Utah State foul.
Yeah, Albury got his legs crossed and then crossed Barrett's legs, and it's a foul on the Aggies.
Albury making his first start. Again, in place of Drake Allen, the Eagle Mountain, Utah native who's not in the lineup today. Saxon nearly walked. His shot doesn't go. Recovered it on the baseline, had it in both hands, and then it went out on the baseline. I thought it was off of Saxon, but they're going to say it's St. Mary's ball and that it was tipped by an Aggie.
I think Saxon thought it was off Saxon, to be quite honest, but the Gales benefit here.
This early in the game, you don't usually see officials head to the monitor, so they won't. It's Tony Padilla, Marcus Pettigrew, and DeSalle Dean, our officiating crew tonight. Into the corner, Morauskas fakes a three, steps in, and his jumper's good.
The Aggies triple-teamed Mitchell Saxon on the baseline there. He was able to get the ball to Morauskas, and Morauskas maneuvers for the bucket.
Martinez, right wing three, back iron, offensive rebound, Gadaretse. Now Falslev had space. His three, short, and Morauskas one-armed the rebound. St. Mary's withstanding some early threes from Utah State, 0 for their first three from distance. It's an Aggies offense that, as I mentioned, is very good, Steve, but it hasn't been quite as dynamic the last several games. An offensive foul against St. Mary's. When you look at the way the season started for Utah State, they scored 101 in the opener against Alcorn State, 103 against Charlotte in Game 2, and a $117 against Westminster in the third game of the season.
Are you talking about the Utah Jazz?
I might as well have been with the way they were shooting the basketball early in the season. The only team in the country this season to open up the year with its first three games scoring at least 100 points in a row. Oh, two-hand slam by Gadaretse.
And a heck of a pass by Martinez.
Put that one on the early highlight reel. Utah State 4, St. Mary's 3. Morauskas fouled, but he gets the shot to fall.
That is on the highlight reel for maybe a different reason than the previous play. The great dunk by Gadaretse with the fine feed from Martinez. Morauskas kind of got into no man's land, then got fouled and somehow was able to maneuver the ball into the bucket and has a chance for three.
It's a dimension of Morauskas' game that he's added to this St. Mary's offense, that he's been really good in the mid-range as he misses his free throw, so the Gales will hold on to the 1-point lead. But they don't have a ton of players who take those mid-range shots, but he does. And he's given St. Mary's another spot on the floor to score other than the paint or the three-point line. Albury to the baseline. His layup doesn't go, but he was fouled in the process. And this is going to be a St. Mary's foul on Jordan Ross.
And speaking of Jordan Ross, there's a gentleman in the stands tonight who has a more than passing interest in the game. Ronnie Ross was a guard at Utah State in the early 2000s. He's Jordan's father. And Mason Falslev is Jordan's cousin, the nephew of Ronnie Ross. So Ronnie Ross, to be clear, he was wearing a St. Mary's hat. So I think the line is, blood is thicker than alma mater.
Second free throw good for Albury, so the Aggies back out in front by 1. Yeah, Ross from Pleasant Grove, Utah, and Falslev from Benson. Tipped, Marshallonis keeps it. And now he's got to deal with the zone. Saxon rumbling, bumbling, and stumbling his way to the glass. But a foul called, and it's on Ian Martinez. And that'll send us to our first break. We expected a good one, and it's lived up to it so far through the first 4 and change. Utah State with an early 1-point lead. Here in Moraga as the Gales honored the 2005 NCAA tournament team prior to tip-off here tonight. And, of course, that 2005 team receiving an at-large bid. It was the first tournament team under Randy Bennett and really the team that laid the foundation for what the next 20 years have been here in Moraga.
No question about it. People kind of forget with short attention spans these days that St. Mary's was not a power and was not a power for a long time. And one gentleman watching the game tonight, the assistant coach on that team, Kyle Smith, now the head coach at Stanford, formerly the head coach at Columbia, USF, and Washington State, spoke with Kyle briefly before the game. He's sitting on the side of the arena where we are, and he said he doesn't know if he's ever been on this side to watch a game. It's a different perspective for Kyle.
Second free throw short for Saxon. And there was a lane violation against Utah State, so there'll be one more. They held a reunion dinner last night in the Soda Center. A lot of the former players from that year's squad here, and course, had a couple of speakers last night. Dan Schell, who was one of the assistants on that staff. So, too, was Frederick Adjuano. As Saxon misses again on the free throw, so he's unsuccessful on both of his attempts. That team really found its stride at the midway point of the season. They started off 6-4 and had a bonkers non-conference schedule. And hearing Randy Bennett talk about that last night was special. And then in the middle of the season, they rattled off 9 consecutive wins, which at that point was the longest winning streak any Gales team had had since 1959, the first time St. Mary's made its way to the NCAA tournament. Included in that 9-game winning streak was a home win over Gonzaga, Bennett's first win against the Zags, as Morauskas is called for a traveling violation in the corner as he went to drive.
You know, Brian, we mentioned in the second half against Merrimack how St. Mary's was able to get to the ball into Morauskas, foul line extended. Really haven't seen that yet in the first 5 minutes. The Gales haven't really been able to get the ball into that spot in the zone.
The only instance that comes to my mind is when Morauskas made that shot, led to the and one, but you're right, that's really the only attempt they've had from that spot as Carson Templin drains the first three-pointer of the night. And Utah State up by 4. They made a couple of substitutions at that timeout, Templin being one of those. Dexter Acano onto the floor as well. He wears number 7. Ross from the free throw line, a line drive shot that was short. Now a scrum for the ball on the floor, and it's eventually going to go to Utah State. So a lot of fighting for it underneath the basket. And now Andrew McKeever checks onto the floor for St. Mary's. First time tonight, he replaces Saxon.
McKeever and Saxon a week ago yesterday in the Gales' loss against Boise State, they were effective together on the floor. Right now, obviously, they're not together on the floor.
And the way McKeever has started his collegiate career, it seems that he's kind of passed Harry Wessels for minutes at the 5 as Templin drains another 3 right in front of McKeever, and it's 12-5 Utah State. Well, that was something that St. Mary struggled with against Merrimack, defending the 3. They gave up 12 three-pointers to the Warriors as Marshallonis gets one off the glass, a nice runner.
And you notice the pace of Utah State, as after a bucket, they're almost in a fast break. Utah State plays the game in the 80s. St. Mary's would like to play the game in maybe the low 70s. If the game gets in the 80s, it's probably in the Aggies' favor. If it stays high 60s, low 70s, that's probably good for the Gales.
The foul was called on Ross. That's his second already, and it sends Albury to the line. How about this statistic? So in the game on Thursday night against Merrimack, the Warriors were perfect from the free throw line, albeit just 6 free throws, but they were 6 for 6 from the line. They made 12 threes, and they made those three-pointers at 57%. They became just the 5th team in NCAA history to lose when hitting all of those marks.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
The most recent occurrence of that was 2017. Cal Poly lost. And again, it has not happened a lot, but St. Mary's surviving despite not defending well at the three-point line. And it's something that I talked earlier today with associate head coach Mickey McConnell about, and he said, look, it's an area that we have to improve on for sure, but we have the confidence in our guys to know that they can get there. Mikey Lewis for a right wing 3 off the mark, and a rebound by Acano. Utah State lost the handle. It was Martinez who dribbled it off his knee, and Luke Barrett comes away with the loose ball after the Aggies didn't have anyone in the paint. Marshallonis stumbles to his knees.
Might have been a walk.
Yeah. You could have called it.
I could have, but I didn't. Nor did the 3 people on the floor who matter.
Morauskas in and out from the top of the arc, a contested 3, and the rebound for Tucker Anderson. Also getting a look at Jordy Barnes on the floor for Utah State. The Aggies love to rotate. They don't play their starters with the minutes that St. Mary's does, as Templin buries another one. He's got 3 three-pointers in the last 2 minutes of play.
And he's got a pretty good reaction coming back down court each time he's hit one.
Utah State an early 10-point lead over St. Mary's, 17-7. Mikey Lewis tried to finish off the glass, then McKeever swatted one off the backboard. And a St. Mary's foul under the basket by Morauskas. I take that back. It was Luke Barrett on the foul. And now Randy Bennett's going to call a timeout to try and settle things down for his troops. The Aggies up by 10 early here in Moraga. Back from the timeout at 17-7, Utah State. They're on a 13-2 run, Steven. They've been doing it with the three-point shot led by Carson Templin.
Yeah, is one person for the moment. It's Templin.
He's taken 3 shots. He's made all 3. He goes for a 4th 3. That was a back iron miss, and Morauskas got the rebound. Now, can St. Mary's get something going offensively? Just 3 of 9 shooting the basketball and 1 of 5 from the free throw line as well. That certainly hasn't helped matters. Down low for Saxon, but he backpedals in. He's tripped. Lewis sidesteps for 3. He drains it.
Yeah, Templin could have been called for a foul, literally for sitting down, because he sat down on the floor right underneath Saxon, and Saxon could have taken a pretty significant fall.
Gales needed that as Falslev loses a handle on the ball right by Randy Bennett. Utah State, their first road game of the season. Templin, another 3. That one hit glass first, and Lewis has the rebound. They played 3 neutral site games in November, including a game against Iowa. Barrett for 3, got it! Here come the Gales, back-to-back 3s.
It's a quick way to cut a 10-point lead to 4.
St. Mary's was able to pick up the pace from 3 in the second half of that game against Merrimack. The efforts led by Augustus Marshallonis, who made a couple of 3s, as Morauskas trying to plead his case that ball went off of Anderson. Whether he was speaking in English or in Lithuanian, I'm not sure.
Morauskas is not afraid to express his opinion.
No, he is not. So it's a 4-point game, under 11 to play. Barnes with it, guarded by Lewis. And he's going to travel.
Barnes and Martinez having some words. I think they got a little crossed up, and that caused Barnes to lose his pivot foot.
Of the 5 on the floor right now for Utah State, none of them have scored. An interesting anomaly, and the only one for the Gales who hasn't scored on the floor, Saxon. Lewis to Morauskas, recovers it off his feet. It's in the hands of Marshallonis. Spins and finds Saxon, and he's on the scoreboard.
And he can thank Augustus Marshallonis for getting him on the scoreboard. That was a great spin move and a better pass after the spin move to get Saxon the easy 2.
After a 13-2 Utah State run, it's now an 8-0 St. Mary's run to pull within 2. There's Johnson, a long 2 just inside the arc, and it goes swish. 19-15, Aggies in front. Halfway through our opening half of basketball. Into the corner, Morauskas, he wants a triple. That one's short, and Falslev going to grab the defensive rebound. Falslev and Martinez both averaging north of 17 points per game, held off the scoreboard early. Templin, Gadaretse, Albury, and Johnson, the only 4 who have scored. Johnson's going to try another 3. It brushes the net and goes out of bounds. And the Gales fans behind us will have some fun with that.
That was nothing but net.
Not in the way Johnson would have preferred it.
No, indeed.
So Albury back on the floor for Utah State.
Excuse me, Brian. As you mentioned, Utah State not afraid to put players in and out and in and out and in and out.
Barrett, corner 3. And Gadaretse there for the rebound. Saxon intercepts the pass. He's got a 2-on-2 with Lewis, right back to Saxon. Too much juice on the layup.
Mitchell Saxon did it all there except finish the layup. Steal, great pass.
And now Lewis has a steal of his own. He doesn't have numbers though. Stutter steps, contact, he's down. And he's going to take a second before he gets up with the help of his teammates. So back-to-back Utah State turnovers. Gives them 4 here in this first half. But can the Gales get some points off of turnovers? That's been the issue for them in this one. They've only been able to get 2 points off of turnovers. Here comes Saxon through the lane, and Mitchell Saxon makes it a 2-point game.
And another feed from Marshallonis, although this time that was not an easy two. Mitchell Saxon had to maneuver his body along the key there, and it did a nice job to get it off the glass, and the Gales down by only 2.
5 assists on 7 made baskets tonight for the Gales as Falslev gets the friendly roll. Falls in the tin, back to a 4-point game. The reigning Mountain West Player of the Week, he's done that 3 times this year. Gets his first points of the night. Lewis, no-look feed to Morauskas, and that was beautiful. Wow.
I'll say Mikey Lewis fooled me. I started thinking, what's he going to do here as he left his feet? But he certainly saw Morauskas along the baseline, and beautiful feed, beautiful bucket.
There's Martinez, and that's going to roll in. We're seeing some high-level basketball here in the early goings tonight. So that was Martinez with his first points. Lewis, you don't see him assist too often. That's just his 10th collegiate assist. Finds Barrett. Fakes a 3, spins out to Marshallonis for 3. He drains it. One-point game with 7 minutes to go in the first half. St. Mary's starting to heat up.
And dare I say it, Brian, they're not booing, they're yelling goo for Augustus.
Feed through traffic. Acano then violently whipped one up towards the rim. But a St. Mary's foul on Mitchell Saxon will send us to a timeout. The three-pointer's starting to fall here in Moraga for St. Mary's. The Gales have pulled within 1 as we head to timeout. Utah State 23 and St. Mary's 22. And Steve, the Aggies off to a 10-1 start, and they're doing so under Jared Calhoun in his first season here at Utah State. He's the 3rd head coach they've had in the last 3 years, and they continue to be a force in the Mountain West.
Yeah, last season it was Danny Sprinkle. He went 28-7, and now he's at Washington. The season before that was the 2nd season with Ryan Odom. He's now at VCU. And Mr. Calhoun has done pretty well himself.
They started off 10-0 before that stumble against UC San Diego earlier in the week. And they were one of the last 5 unbeaten teams in the country. And we're talking some of the best teams in the nation: Tennessee, Florida, Oklahoma, and Drake. Those are the only unbeatens left now that Utah State has bowed out. Mikey Lewis with the right hand. Saxon tried to punch it out, can't do so. It's 25-22 after that bucket by Gattaretzi coming off the timeout.
And good defense at the start of this possession by Augustus Marshallonis.
Morauskas tangled up with Gattaretzi. That's going to be a foul on the big man for Utah State. 6th foul against Utah State, 6:15 to go in the half. And St. Mary's will bring Jordan Ross back onto the floor, and Ashton Hardaway will play for the first time tonight, and he's on for Morauskas. Utah State has led virtually the entire half. Just a minute and 41 of lead time for the Gales. Marshallonis, top of the arc for 3, off to the right. And a jump ball is the call. I was going to say a hard-fought rebound for Dexter Acano. He was tangled up with Barrett.
Cano, a transfer from Oregon State.
Began his collegiate career at Marquette, played 12 games there over 2 seasons. Finished his undergraduate degree up at Oregon State, now a master's in sports management for the Valencia native. 7 transfers on this year's squad for Jared Calhoun, who's had a lot of success early here, and of course at Youngstown State, where he won 22 games last year and 118 games over 7 seasons as the head coach.
All right, quick trivia question for you, Brian.
I don't know their mascot.
The Penguins.
Was that going to be the question?
That was the question for Youngstown State. There you go.
Only Penguins I know of, the Dominican University Penguins here in the Bay Area. Not quite to the same level as Youngstown State, but Saxon swats it away. And here comes Marshallonis with a full head of steam, working on Falslev, up with the left hand, it doesn't fall. And quickly the other way, Falslev got it past the swat of Saxon. And when you get into a track meet with Utah State, you're usually going to lose.
Just about to say that, Brian. Yeah, that's not exactly the way Randy Bennett has built this St. Mary's program to go up and down the floor like that. That definitely benefits the Aggies.
Saxon double teamed, ball punched from behind by Falslev, and he's going to get called for a foul. That will send Saxon to the line. The Gales had 5 early free throw attempts and made just 1. And Saxon, one of his 2 misses, missed everything. First of the 1-and-1 is good. St. Mary's leading the WCC in free throw attempts per game, though 10th in the WCC in free throw percentage. Saxon's short on the second, and it's going to go out at the Utah State bench. And I think it's going to go to the Aggies. In fact, it will.
Barrett punched that ball to the side. That clearly is the right call.
There was some discussion between Tony Padilla and Marcus Pettigrew, but the right call made. 4-point Aggies lead, less than 5 to play here in the first half on a Sunday night in Moraga. A whistle and a stoppage, and they're going to get Marshallonis for a foul. Off the ball. 6th for St. Mary's. 1 more away from the Aggies being in the bonus. And Barnes is onto the floor. Templin as well, and Martinez goes up and throws it down.
Marshallonis was looking for someone to give him some help there. Obviously, no one did, and the Aggies got an easy 2.
They built the lead back up to 6. 29-23. Ross directing traffic. Marshallonis down low. What a feed by Saxon! And Hardaway goes up and throws it down.
And
wow.
You can beat a zone along the baseline if you pass the ball as smoothly and as quickly as the Gales did there.
I'm not sure what was more impressive, the finish by Hardaway or the find by Saxon.
I'm going to go with the finish. It was a nice find. It was an excellent find, but I'll go with the finish for Mr. Hardaway.
Wow. 29-25. Ashton Hardaway with one of the most impressive plays of his young St. Mary's career. Martinez with Wessels guarding him. Now an open man in the corner for 3, and Acano buries it. Another 3-pointer made by the Aggies. It's the 4th of the half, the first by someone other than Carson Templin.
And that's 4 assists already for Martinez.
And now a 7-point Utah State lead. Ross hesitates, spins around, left-hand jumper, and Wessel swats the rebound out to Marshallonis. Just the second offensive rebound for St. Mary's tonight. Only 5 total in the game between two teams who are very prolific on the offensive glass. I think they're going to say Marciulionis was out of bounds when he got that loose ball, so that'll award possession back to Utah State when we come back from this timeout. It's the Aggies 32 and the Gales 25. While we were away at timeout for the second game in a row, Steve, a fan has won beer for a year from Canyon Club Brewery by hitting a half-court shot. 2 games in a row.
Who'd have thunk it, A? And again, those guys are much more popular than they were just 15 seconds before they hit that shot. Not that they weren't popular before, but they're a lot more popular now.
I think I need to start working on my half-court jump shot. 32-25, Utah State in front with possession, 3:12 and rolling on the clock. The Aggies have hit 6 of their last 8. St. Mary's was within 1 not too long ago. Templin errant on his 3. It was off to the right, and Marciulionis comes away with it.
And Templin hit his first 3, and now he's missed 3 in a row.
Hardaway, corner 3, short. Barnes, rebound. St. Mary's 3 of 9 from beyond the arc. Utah State 4 of 11.
And Brian, we talked about how both these teams are good rebounding teams. At the moment, Utah State owns the glass 18-11.
St. Mary's had gone 3 consecutive games without winning the rebound battle before that Merrimack game, as Tucker Anderson bounces one in. It hit rim a few times, then hit glass, then fell in. And there's a whistle. And I didn't hear what it was for, but Templin came off the floor. Gales are going to make a couple of substitutions as well. It's a 10-point Utah State lead. Tipped through traffic, out of bounds. It's going to stay with St. Mary's. Steve, we've talked about it a lot in some of these Gales home games, how the final 2 minutes are important for the team that's been trailing, and tonight that applies to St. Mary's.
Yeah, previously it had been St. Mary's ahead and its opponent trying to stay within hailing distance. This time it's the Gales.
Saxon with 6 to shoot, tries to bully his way through, but he took too many steps. Just the 4th turnover of the half for St. Mary's. Utah State, a team that forces a lot of turnovers, just shy of 17 per game, which is top 15 in the NCAA. Anderson finds Gattaretzi, and now it's a 12-point game, the largest lead of the night for the Aggies. Saxon for Lewis. Short on the 3. Barrett stumbles. And there was a foul on Jordy Barnes, I believe. No, they got Martinez on the foul. He turns around and is like, wait, me? Barnes is trying to say that it was on him.
Because that's now the second foul on Martinez. And Barnes doesn't have any.
They're going to look at the monitor real quick just to confirm who the foul was on. Barnes has his arm up saying it was on him. I thought it was Barnes as well, but what do I know?
I'll bite my tongue.
But St. Mary's could use some help if it's at the free throw line or whatever it might be. They'll need Barrett to hit a couple of shots at the free throw line. Anything to try and claw their way back in. They are going to say the foul is on Barnes. So they get that one right. And now Barrett will go to the line with a 1-on-1 opportunity.
Yeah, Brian, with just more than 7 minutes to go, Augustus Marciulionis hit a 3, and that cut Utah State's lead to 23-22. but since then, 14-3 for the Aggies.
St. Mary's won of their last 7. Utah State 5 of its last 6. And Barrett misses the free throw, and the Gales just are not doing themselves any favors when they get to the line. If you're going to struggle to make field goals and you get a chance at the line, you got to make your free throws. .66 seconds to play in the half. Alcano, and he finds Gattaretzi again. Well, Utah State is eating it up down low in the paint tonight.
Gattaretzi's had 2 or 3 of those. He got 10 points total, 5 for 6 from the floor.
And the Aggies with a 6-point advantage in the paint. You don't normally see that against St. Mary's either. Here comes Lewis to Saxon, in and out of his paws. Lewis fades away from the baseline. That one's good. About a 3-second difference here, maybe less than that, between the shot clock and the game clock. And Calhoun's going to call a timeout for Utah State.
Yeah, normally you wouldn't see Utah State trying to slow down a possession, but obviously with the shot clock and game clock almost equal, the Aggies want to bring this thing down to probably 6 seconds on the shot clock before getting the shot off, and figure the worst they go into the locker room with is a 12-point lead. And perhaps it's 14 or 15 if things go well for Utah State.
If you're St. Mary's, this possession here, crucial if you can get Utah State to throw one up with enough time for you to then get back and maybe hit a quick 3. But getting a stop here, paramount, to keep it at least a 12-point game, and so that way you can seize every ounce of momentum heading into the break. St. Mary's has not been a good second-half team this season, but in the games in which they've been outscored in the first half, they've outscored the opposition in the second half.
I would look for something either with Martinez or perhaps, dare I say, Gattaretzi at the rim for in this final possession for Utah State.
10 on the game clock, now 5 on the shot clock. It's Martinez for 3, in and out it goes, and Saxon has the rebound. Can the Gales get something up quickly? Barrett from half court, it's short. But St. Mary's gets the stop that it needed to keep it at a 12-point game going into the break, and that might be insignificant now, but who knows how that can shift things in the early portion of the second half.
No question about it. I mean, the Gales are down 12. That's not great, but it easily could have been 14 or 15 had actually could have been 15 if Martinez's shot had gone down.
So it's halftime here in Moraga with the score Utah State 39, St. Mary's 27. We'll step aside for a quick break and take you through a recap of half number 1 when we return. Just about set for the second half here in Moraga. It's Utah State 39 and St. Mary's 27. It's just the second time this season that St. Mary's has trailed at halftime. The only other time that happened was, well, just a little bit ago when St. Mary's played Boise State. That was 8 days ago on technically a neutral floor. But the Gales were able to force overtime in that game despite a halftime deficit. So they don't have a lot of experience trailing at halftime this season, but they were able to overcome that deficit, and they're trying to do the same thing here tonight at home in Moraga.
And you'll remember, Brian, the Gales have not lost at home this season.
St. Mary's historically has been one of the best home court advantages in the nation when you really think about it over the last 20 years that Randy Bennett has been here. He has built this place into one of the best environments in college basketball and a place that not a lot of teams want to play.
No, and again, you mentioned earlier, this is Utah State's first true road game of the season, and the Aggies don't appear fazed by the crowd or anything else at the moment.
And while it's been a great atmosphere here tonight, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the one trip I've made to Logan, Utah, and the Spectrum And that was in 2021 when St. Mary's played at Utah State and won the game on a pair of Alex Dukas free throws with .8 seconds remaining on the clock. After a foul was called underneath the basket, Dukas was going for a rebound. I will swear by it to this day, Steve. That is the loudest venue I have ever been in, professionally, collegiately, as a worker, as a fan, it doesn't matter. That atmosphere is incredible. It's been a good one here tonight in Moraga, and the Gales faithful hoping to see the home squad rally back from a 12-point halftime deficit. They start with the ball, and it's in the hands of Jordan Ross. Luke Barrett knifes his way in, out to Marshallonis for three. It's short, but Saxon has the offensive rebound and can't finish, but gets his miss again, and he's fouled going up.
Gales, again, were out-rebounded considerably in the first half. If you're a St. Mary's fan, you don't like seeing the ball not go in the bucket, but you do like seeing the offensive rebound there.
So Saxon to the line, 1 of 4 in the first half, which is what St. Mary's shot on average. They were 2 of 8 in the first half from the line, and Saxon good on the first one. Maybe a good omen here in the final 20 minutes of play. The Gales got to the line nearly 3 times as much as Merrimack on Thursday night as Saxon rattles the second one in. And they've been to the line more than twice as often as Utah State tonight. 10 free throw attempts to just 4.
And Saxon leads the Gales in points with 7, rebounds with 4, and assists with 4.
There's Martinez for a 3. It's short, and Morauskas has the rebound. St. Mary's took great care of the basketball in the first half, just 4 turnovers. Utah State's defense forces nearly 17 a game. Marshallonis finds Saxon, who pushes it up with the left hand.
I think that's at least 3 assists for Marshallonis directly to Saxon.
That would be 3 of his 4 tonight.
Correct.
5 points, 4 assists for Marshallonis, and 10 assists for the Gales on 12 made shots. It's Johnson, a 3 in front of Morauskas, and he buries it. Isaac Johnson with his first triple tonight, the 6th for Utah State. And just like that, they're back up by 11. Barrett was double teamed. There goes Saxon. It falls in. Took a couple of bounces off the tin before finding its way down.
That's a shot that's actually a little bit farther than Mitchell Saxon normally shoots, but he was able to get the roll.
Just a little bit. I'd say a lot of it. He normally doesn't go out from about 1 foot off the glass. Morauskas pokes it away from Johnson. It's going to stay with Utah State, 12 on the shot clock.
Morauskas might have injured his finger. You can see him shaking it right now.
Albury to inbound, finds a cutting false lev, and that was a thing of beauty.
Second time in this game that the Aggies have gotten an out-of-bounds play and get a layup out of it. Again, something that Randy Bennett probably is not particularly thrilled by.
Marshallonis for Saxon, spins around Gattaretzi and finishes again. And Mitchell Saxon is suddenly up to 13 points tonight.
And on that move, it looked like he was getting a little bit out of control, but he steadied himself and used the left hand to go off the glass.
Falslev fading away on Saxon. Boy, that's a good shot by Mason Falslev.
And Barrett had gone to Gattaretzi, who obviously had some success on those type of plays in the first half, going right to the rim.
Both teams trading buckets. They're each 3 for their last 3. Ross stumbles, gets it out to Marshallonis. And an offensive foul against Saxon. That's his 3rd. So all the work that St. Mary's has done offensively to come out of the gates relatively hot here, Utah State has been able to counter and really maintain its double-digit point advantage. The second half splits for St. Mary's have not been good, and especially over the last 5 games where St. Mary's has been outscored by 25 points total in those 5 games. Only once have they outscored the opposition in the second half during that span, and it was that aforementioned Boise State game where they forced overtime and then lost. 14 on the shot clock, and Utah State will inbound it. It's Albury again. They wanted to go right back to Falslev. Instead, they went to Martinez. Falslev guarded by Barrett. Now it's Albury. Got around Ross and finishes off the glass. This Aggies offense has been real impressive tonight, Steve.
No question about it. Unselfish, can hit from inside and out. The Aggies have been the better team for 24 minutes.
Morauskas drives, pushes it up with the right hand, and a rebound for Johnson, but a man down for Utah State.
It's Albury.
Yep. Starting tonight in the place of the injured Drake Allen, and he's laying on his stomach, so we'll step aside for a timeout with Allen down.
The world's most superior sports drink, designed to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel. It fuels the best, because it is the best. Gatorade, is it in you?
(48-35) Utah State over St. Mary's. An important game for both of these teams when it comes to what's ahead on the schedule. For St. Mary's, they begin West Coast Conference play on Saturday. That's next Saturday against Pacific, December 28th, a 5 o'clock tip here on ESPN+. But it kicks off a run of games in which St. Mary's not going to have a lot of opportunities for Quad 1 and Quad 2 games. Meanwhile, Utah State will get back into Mountain West play after a conference win against Wyoming on December 4th. But they're in a brutal run, including 2 more road games to follow in conference play against San Diego State and Nevada. Falslev underneath, and it came from Gadaretse on an impressive feed and a 15-point Aggies lead.
Boy, that was a hell of a feed by Gadaretse. To be able to spot his teammate and then to be able to get it with the bounce pass low.
Morauskas hits a 3 from the right wing. He waited a long time before he shot it.
Yes, he did.
But I'm sure he's glad he did. And a 12-point game now. That game for Utah State on Saturday at San Diego State will be televised nationally on Fox at 4 o'clock. And their start to conference play, again, a lot different than St. Mary's, as Falslev goes high off the glass and gets it to fall. And St. Mary's just can't buy a stop.
You mentioned Falslev was kind of quiet in the first half. He's not so quiet here in the second.
Anything but, to say the least. He's got 8 of the team's 13 points already in the second half. Morauskas for a corner 3. It was short, and Falslev has the rebound. Haven't been a chance for many rebounds here in the second half, with both teams shooting very well. And Barrett stumbles over Dexter Acano, who was called for a travel. We'll give it back to St. Mary's, down 14. Joshua Dent checks onto the floor for the Gales. He's going to replace Augustus Marciulionis. And so the Gales right now in the backcourt are rolling with Lewis and Dent.
I think this is the first time Marciulionis has been off the floor tonight.
Marciulionis just 2 of 6 shooting the basketball. Gales are looking for some kind of spark. Saxon is blocked. It was Carson Templin. He was going up for the dunk, and Templin said no. Acano finds Templin, and Templin drops it in.
And, you know, Brian, a few times already this season, this has been about the time when I've said, you know, it's danger time for the St. Mary's opponent with 13 and a half minutes to go And then now the Gales down by 16. Now it's danger time for St. Mary's.
Mikey Lewis for three. Splash.
That's one response to danger.
Well, if somebody can get hot, maybe it's Mikey Lewis. He's up to 8 points now. He has not had a double-digit point performance since his 23-point game against Nebraska. That was all the way back on the 17th of November.
Yeah, he had double digits in the first 4 games and hasn't had one since.
But St. Mary's needs a stop more than anything. And they're not going to get it there. Falsleff goes up, drops it in, and Utah State is 8 of 9 here in the second half. Shooting at 62% for the game. Lewis is stripped. Another St. Mary's turnover, and Templin through the lane, got it to go. And Randy Bennett has seen enough. It has been all Utah State here tonight, and a stunned crowd inside University Credit Union Pavilion. Aggies up by 17 when we come back. So far, the Aggies now up to a 17-point lead. And Steve, you pointed out at that timeout, Mason Falsleff was a little bit slow to get to the bench as he's sitting there right now.
Yeah, he's still kind of uncomfortable, let's put it that way. I don't think it's an injury that's going to keep him sidelined for the game, but as he came off the floor, he was not a happy camper.
So Marshallonis back onto the floor for St. Mary's, replacing Lewis. So it's Marshallonis and Dent with Barrett, Morauskas, and Saxon on the floor. Barnes is challenging Marshallonis. There's a foul. That's just our third foul of the second half. Utah State goes with Martinez and Barnes. They have a Cano out there as well, and Isaac Johnson and Carson Templin. Right as I say that, Johnson to the bench, and Tucker Anderson onto the floor. Marshallonis, Dent fakes a three, now finds Marshallonis for threes, drains it. His second three-pointer of the night.
And Dent getting some playing time at a significant moment in the game. He hasn't had a whole lot of that this season.
Dent still looking for his first collegiate points here in Moraga. The 25th Australian Gale to come through the pipeline. Martinez gave it right to Saxon. So St. Mary's gets a stop, not on a missed shot, but a turnover. And maybe a chance. Marshallonis lost a handle on the dribble, but recovered. Now it's Morauskas from the edge of the paint. Doesn't fall. Barrett had the rebound, but a St. Mary's foul. And nobody on the St. Mary's side agrees with that one, but it's called on Barrett.
Yeah, it's tough to tell from here whether Barrett got to the ball cleanly or whether he pushed someone to get it. But in any event, it's a foul on Luke Barrett.
Sends us to a timeout. 14-point game here in Moraga. Utah State with a blistering performance here tonight. Up 58-44 over St. Mary's. How about this, Steve? 21 assists tonight on 24 baskets.
Sharing is caring.
Cano misfires on a three, and Saxon has the rebound. They've had as many as 28 assists in a game twice this season, and they've had as many as 24 assists on 4 occasions.
And to put 28 in perspective, an NBA team, if it gets 30, is thinking it's doing well. In the NBA, they play 8 more minutes.
Luke Barrett knocks down a triple for the Gales. It's a 58-47 game. That's the second three-pointer made tonight by Mr. Barrett. Gales fans trying to make a little noise. Still 10:45 to play. Dent guarding Barnes. And another one good. And this offense just cannot miss right now for Utah State.
Getting good looks. Getting very good looks.
And a turnover. Here comes Barnes with Morauskas in pursuit. Lays it in off the glass. can't have that happen as you're trying to come back.
No, indeed.
Gales have only turned it over 7 times, but Utah State has 13 points off of turnover tonight, and there's turnover number 8 for St. Mary's.
Yeah, Augustus Marciulionis got in a little bit of a pickle, and his pass to Barrett was a little high. Possibly Barrett's one of those things where maybe the pass was a little high and a little too hard, and possibly Barrett still could have caught it. In any event, it's a turnover, and the Gales are down 15 halfway through the second half.
We've seen a lot of flashes tonight from St. Mary's of things that have been great, as Gadaretzi's called for an offensive foul on Dent, a moving screen violation. But the problem with St. Mary's tonight has been they haven't been able to sustain it.
Right. I could not say it any better than you just did, Brian. They've had moments, but not enough, obviously, when you're down 15 midway through the second half.
There was an 8-0 run early in this game that put St. Mary's within 1. That was a run that made it 23-22. Josh Dent from the top of the key hesitated and then turned it over.
3 turnovers in a row for the Gales.
And that's one that the young man should have just shot, and instead it leads to a basket on the other side for Utah State, and it's back to a 17-point game.
And Utah State shooting a mere 64.3% from the field.
And 12 of 14 in the second half. It's just insane what they're doing here tonight. Marciulionis, top of the arc for 3. Saxon with the offensive rebound, and he'll put it back. Barnes. Marciulionis got a hand on it. Comes away with it. That's 9 Utah State turnovers tonight.
And the Gales had a chance at a fast break there, but Marciulionis wisely brought the ball back out.
There's Barrett. Sidesteps, drives through contact. Doesn't get it to fall, but he will be going to the free throw line. It's a foul on Gadaretzi, and it's his 3rd foul.
Down 15, 8:44 to go. Obviously not easy, but also not impossible if the Gales can get something going here in the next couple of minutes.
Well, the first thing you want to see if you're a Gales fan is let's just get it back to single digits, and we'll start from there.
And maybe see a couple of foul shots go into the hoop, and there's one.
So Barrett hits his first. He's up to 7 points tonight, the NCAA's minutes leader this season. And he's good on both of his free throw attempts. Barrett has had at least 33 minutes in all but one game this season. That was the Stanislaus State game here at home. So in every Division I game, he's done that. And Falslev tried to float one up for Gadaretzi for a little alley-oop, and they didn't connect.
That's the old maybe went to the well once too often.
And now this is where St. Mary's has got to come away with something. You got to be able to get a little momentum on your side when Utah State turns it over. They've had 6 turnovers here in this second half already. Saxon to Marciulionis. Barrett finds Morauskas at the bench. Fades away from the right elbow. Misses wide right. And Kemplin has a rebound. Eight minutes to go. 13-point lead for Utah State. Templin. False left, who's had the great half. Penetrates, shoves it out for Acano, tipped by Morauskas. Now right in front of us, there's only 3 to shoot. Here comes Acano, and it was ripped away by Morauskas. No foul was called. Here comes Dent. He's going to go for a 3 in transition, and he's got it. His first collegiate points. And how about it? The first time tonight we've heard Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Josh Dent, a big 3 to pull within 10 as we head to a break here on ESPN+. A 7-0 run for St. Mary's, and they've pulled within 10. And, Steve, they're starting to do so thanks to some careless play from Utah State. 4 turnovers in the last 250.
That'll get you back in the game if you're St. Mary's. And that's maybe the only way St. Mary's can get back in the game, because when Utah State has gotten shots in the second half, almost all of those shots have gone in.
12 of 14 in the second half, but they've also turned the ball over 7 times. It's Martinez working on Saxon. High floater, and it goes in. Right on cue. Utah State just has to hold on to the ball because when they shoot, they don't miss.
And that wasn't bad defense
No.
at all by Mitchell Saxon. That was just a really nice shot by Martinez.
Martinez has been quiet tonight, 3 of 9 shooting the basketball, and 0 of 4 from beyond the arc. Ashton Hardaway on for St. Mary's. He's going to give Morauskas a little breather. 5 to shoot. Saxon turns it over. Was looking for Hardaway, and now Barnes heaves one down the floor, and Martinez is all alone.
That was a bad turn of events if you're a St. Mary's fan, and a very good turn of events if you're a Utah State fan.
And again, just when St. Mary's starts to get a little bit of life, they are just unable to sustain it. Saxon, no shot traveling.
It was a good feed by Dent, but Saxon lost his balance, and the Gales lose the ball.
So Harry Wessels will check on for Saxon. Saxon's got a game-best 15 points tonight. He's also got 4 assists. That's second most on the Gales. And he leads St. Mary's with 6 rebounds. Six minutes to play here in Moraga. 14-point Utah State lead. Templin for Falslev, who goes for a 3. That one is short. I think he was trying to play for a foul there, didn't get it. So a rare Utah State miss. We'll give it back to the Gales, and Hardaway inbounds.
Long minutes here for Dent, with both Mikey Lewis and Jordan Ross on the bench.
Dent is the only Gale not in the negative when it comes to plus minus. He goes for a right wing 3. That one's short. Barrett has the offensive rebound. Kick out to Marshallonis. That's another miss. Barrett goes up high for the rebound. And did they get a timeout? I think they did. Luke Barrett with a gritty offensive rebound to keep possession with the Gales.
And I believe it was Augustus Marshallonis who went to the official to get the timeout called.
That's a 30-second timeout, so everybody's going to stay up. And St. Mary's has not had a lot of those opportunities tonight on the offensive glass. It's just the 8th offensive rebound. They've done better than Utah State on the offensive glass tonight, 8-3. But Steve, part of that is because Utah State hasn't missed.
Yeah. If you're making, what's the percentage in the second half? 82.4%. There aren't a whole lot of chances to grab the offensive glass. And if you're Mr. Calhoun, Jared Calhoun, the Utah State coach, you'll take that. I think you'll take that.
St. Mary's has made 8 3-pointers tonight. A team that hasn't made a ton of 3-pointers on the season. Bottom 40 in the NCAA, but they're trying them here tonight. Marshallonis was short on that one. And perhaps that's the way they're going to have to get back into this game, but they got to start making them because time is running down. 5:15 to play. Martinez tried to find Templin. It gets there, but Wessels has the rebound on the missed shot. Hardaway to the corner for Joshua Dent. Too strong. Barrett with another offensive rebound.
We're going to put this in perspective for how good a win this would be for Utah State. St. Mary's has lost 2 games this season. Both games were down to the wire. The Gales haven't been handled as well as the Aggies have handled them for 35 minutes tonight.
It's a timeout for Utah State called right in front of their bench. Yeah, a St. Mary's loss at Boise State in overtime. And then the other loss, the team's first loss, was in the Acrisure Series finale against Arizona State. A 4-point loss, and St. Mary's was in that thing within one possession in the final minute. So the Gales have gotten really used to close games late. You have that game against Arizona State. The next game was right here against UTSA, an overtime game. Utah, they won by 9, but the Utes pulled within one possession with 4 minutes to play in that game.
Right, and yeah, that game really was still in doubt at the 2-minute mark, almost if I remember correctly, maybe even at the 1-minute mark before the Gales took control in the last couple minutes. But this game, there's still time for St. Mary's to make it a close game, but there's not a whole lot of time. The Gales are in dire straits. There's no question about that.
And again, as I've said on multiple occasions here in the second half, they just have to start by getting stops. And you don't normally say that about a Randy Bennett defense. Getting stops is not usually the issue. But Utah State has made just about every shot in the bag so far tonight, and Wessels just clubbed Martinez. He's trying to plead his case in saying that Martinez was grabbing him and yanking him down, but not going to win that one with the size advantage.
No, indeed, yeah. And give Martinez credit, too, whether he did or did not use his left arm to get a foul called on Wessels. Just the fact that he took it hard to the bucket, 9 times out of 10, the guy who's doing that is going to get the foul call.
So Martinez at the line. This is his second Utah school in his collegiate career after he began his freshman season at Utah. His father, Henry, was an assistant at Utah while he was there. And he also spent 15 years as a player and coach with the Costa Rican national team. Of course, Martinez from Heredia in Costa Rica. Free throws big at this stage in the game. Utah State has not missed there tonight, though. They've only had 5 attempts and now 6.
And that means in the last, 75 minutes here, plus the opponent for St. Mary's has not missed a foul shot.
It's impressive. It's a small sample size, of course, but it is rare that you see that happen. Back to a 14-point game. Marshallonis pivots out to Hardaway. Shot clock down to 3. Marshallonis just heaves one up. It's wide left, and a rebound by Acano. It's almost like the Gales didn't know where the shot clock was.
Yeah, and when you're down by as many as 14 as the Gales are now, you got to get shots up well before the shot clock is getting towards 0.
Falslev had it poked away. Out to Barnes, and Utah State now is in milk the clock mode.
And this isn't necessarily Utah State's normal standard operating procedure, but at this point in the game, it's smart basketball.
Ball tipped off of Dent, but they're going to say a shot clock violation prior to that, and that'll send us to our final media timeout. Do the Gales have one more push in them? They're down 14 with 3:19 to go. Utah State holding on to a 14-point lead and trying to close out a big road win before the resumption of Mountain West play. It's Mikey Lewis on the floor in the place of Joshua Dent, who got some really good run there. But the Gales need shooters and they need scorers. There's Saxon down low from Marshallonis, and that's a good start.
7 assists for Marshallonis, 17 points for Saxon. But unless something dramatic happens in the last 3 minutes, those numbers will go for naught.
Barnes had it poked away from behind by Lewis, and here comes Barrett the other way. Luke Barrett in transition off the glass, and Falslev has the rebound. Not the best looking shot, and here comes Acano the other way. He's too strong, and Luke Barrett there for the rebound.
And that was not really good basketball there by the Aggies with a 12-point lead, barely more than 2.5 minutes to go.
Hardaway, corner three, he got it, and it's a 9-point game. This is the closest it's been here in the second half. But now time is the issue. 2:15 to play. And the Gales only have 3 fouls as well, so they're trying to get aggressive here and start forcing some turnovers. There's Gateretse, missed on his dunk, no foul was called. Barrett to Lewis. And again, time is an issue for St. Mary's, so you can't hold on to the ball for 30 seconds. Saxon on Gateretse, doesn't get it to fall, but he's fouled in the process.
1:43 to go, 9-point margin. Could get to 7, could get to 8. Again, that's not out of the question. Utah State is not necessarily used to playing at a slow pace, which it has wanted to do to milk the clock and get out of here with a win. But it might be backfiring a little bit on the Aggies.
First one good for Saxon. And Cade Bennett going to check onto the floor for Ashton Hardaway, and this is likely a decision, I would imagine here, Steve, for fouls.
Yeah, Cade might be the designated fouler. Yes, I think that's very good assessment there, Brian.
Second one for Saxon misses, so it's an 8-point game with 1:40 to go. And they're going to put Bennett right on the ball and Jordy Barnes. And again, you have a couple of fouls to give here. But more than anything, you just need Utah State not to score. Gateretse had to fight off Marshallonis. Martinez poked away, and Saxon has it. Now up the floor for Bennett, who all he could do was flip it to Martinez because it was a bad pass, and Marshallonis fouls him. Oh, that is a crucial mistake by the Gales.
The Gales had a chance to cut it to 6, maybe even 5. And, yeah, you cannot make that play when you're down by 8 and less than a minute and a half to go. You just can't. The Gales, they need to start fouling if they're going to keep this game within distance, because, and there's Cade Bennett doing just that. They need to send Utah State to the line and hope the Aggies miss, but they got to take 2 more fouls before the Aggies get to the line.
14 Utah State turnovers tonight, just 11 points off that for St. Mary's. They're -5 in the points off turnovers department tonight. Bennett, I'm surprised he hasn't fouled Barnes yet. They're going to let him play this one out. Falslev on Marshallonis. Bennett tried to swipe it away, so too does Marshallonis. Underneath goes Falslev and drops it in. Back to a 10-point game with less than a minute to play.
And that might have been the decider right there. If the Gales had stopped them, you still got a chance at a 3-possession game with a minute to go. Now a 4-possession game. Awfully tough.
And Utah State going back to zone to try and keep the Gales off the 3-point line as Mikey Lewis knocks one down from the corner. That'll go straight to a Randy Bennett timeout in a 7-point game.
The Gales still need to take 2 fouls. The second foul they'll take will put Utah State at the line. With 45 seconds to go, you have maybe 5 seconds on each possession to go for a steal, and after that, I think you got to foul. Try to extend the game as long as you can.
St. Mary's has made 10 3-pointers tonight, which is up there with some of the best 3-point shooting performances the Gales have had this season. If you would have told me, Steve, the Gales would shoot at 45%, which is, nothing to scoff at by any means. That's right at their season average. Make 10 threes and turn it over less than Utah State. I probably would have thought they'd be leading this game, not down by 7 in the final minute.
Yeah, the problem for the Gales, though, is that Utah State is shooting 60% from the floor, 68.2%, 15 for 22 in the second half. And Utah State hasn't gone to the line a lot. As we mentioned, only 8 foul shots, but all 8 attempts have gone in. So The effective field goal percentage for Utah State, I'm not good enough at math to calculate that at the top of my head, but it's high.
Just the second time this year the Gales have made at least 10 threes in a game. They had 11 against Nebraska. As of right now, it's the third time this year a team has shot at least 50% against them. No one has shot above 51% against the Gales. The Aggies are at 60% tonight. Two Gales trap. It's out of there. Barnes across the timeline to Falslev, and finally the foul called with 37.8 to go. But again, they had one to give.
So now the Gales finally do get into the 1-and-1 when they foul and Utah State goes to the line. And again, with 37.8, it's not it is within the realm of possibility, but you got to do something quick. I'd foul right now.
And Luke Barrett hasn't fouled yet. Now Saxon fouls Gadarezzi, so about 5 seconds off the clock there. And Gadarezzi will go to the free throw line.
Gadarezzi came in as a 67% free throw shooter.
Yeah, I think that was a situation of wanting to get it out of the hands of Akano, who's an 81% free throw shooter, and get it in the big man, who's the former Stetson transfer, as Dent comes back on for Bennett. And you're probably going to see a lot of that here in the final minutes if these possessions are short and quick. It's 1-and-1. And he misses. And Barrett has the rebound, so the Gales got to go fast. It's into Lewis, who goes for a three. He's fouled going up for the shot.
And that is a huge mistake on Barnes' part. I mean, he realizes that you can't foul a three-point shooter, particularly someone who's well beyond the arc, particularly when you have a 7-point lead with 30 seconds to go. That just is a huge boon for St. Mary's. Let's see if Lewis can knock down 2 or maybe 3 of these foul shots and give the Gales some life.
First one almost rattled out, but it drops in for Lewis. Entered tonight 11 of 15 in his collegiate career from the line. 73.3%. He misses the second. It's a 6-point game. Cade Bennett back onto the floor. Bennett is replacing Dent, I believe. No, excuse me, he's going to replace Saxon. So the Gales going ultra small here with Barrett now at the 5. 4 guards on the floor. Lewis misses another free throw. And the Aggies get it down the floor to Martinez, who misses the dunk, but Falslev got the offensive rebound and was fouled in the process.
Martinez thinks that Cade Bennett fouled him, and he very well might have. But again, that's not a great play on Martinez's part. When you've got a 6-point lead, less than 25 seconds to go, you're better off bringing that ball out and running some more time. Had it not been for Falslev's hustle and getting that offensive rebound, the Gales could have benefited again, whether or not Cade Bennett fouled him.
One free throw here would just about ice the game. It's a 1-and-1, and Falslev hits it. He's a 75% free throw shooter and one of 4 players in the country, Steve, with the shooting percentages that he had and averaging 17 points per game. That's 54% from the field, 47% from 3, 75 from the stripe, and 17 points per game. He hits both free throws, and it's an 8-point Aggies lead as they're going to try and put the finishing touches on a very impressive road victory here in Moraga.
Yeah, sometimes the team that plays better most of the game doesn't necessarily win the game. But tonight, you got to say Utah State has been the better team for most of this game, and the better team tonight is about to win the game.
St. Mary's led 5-4, 3.5 minutes into the game. And after that, Utah State got a couple free throws from Albury, and they have not trailed since. That is very tough to do inside University Credit Union Pavilion as Marshallonis makes his first free throw.
And that puts the Gales exactly 50% at the line, 9 for 18. Got to do better than that.
And Marshallonis hits the second. 9 misses tonight from the line in what's now a 6-point game. It's into Martinez, who's fouled by Marshallonis. It's his 4th. He's trying to plead his case as if that wasn't a foul, but I think in the grand scheme of things, if you're St. Mary's, you would take it as opposed to more time being bled off the clock. But the problem here is Martinez is one of the best free throw shooters in the country. He's only missed 6 times, 91% this year. He gets there a lot. And he makes the first. Quiet start to the game for Martinez, but he wound up getting into double figures. And he's going to miss the second free throw, but it's a 3-possession game. So Marshallonis needs to just throw one up. He does on the runner. It's short. And that will do it here in Moraga. Utah State comes out to the Bay Area and finishes up its non-conference schedule with a statement win against the Gales. The final score of 75-68. And Steve, this was a fantastic performance from one of the best mid-major teams in the country year in and year out in Utah State. But what they were able to do here offensively tonight against Randy Bennett's defense was impressive.
Yeah, the Aggies pretty much got what they wanted in the first half to a great extent, and in the second half to an almost